May I have your attention, please? If you have not done so at this time, please sign in and please silence all cell phones and pagers. Thank you.
Good morning. This meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is being held at the offices of the Louisiana Tax Commission at 1051 North 3rd Street, Suite 225, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The date is Wednesday, March 14th, 2018, and the time is 10:02 a.m. Please call the roll.
Chairman Shahardy.
Here.
Commissioner Wagaspat.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Vercher.
Here.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes, here.
5 present and a quorum.
Thank you. There being no old business to conduct at this time, I'll accept a motion for the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on March 7th, 2018.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the meeting held March 7th, 2018.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagaspat.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner West.
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes. Next item is the acceptance of exhibits into the record from the meeting held on March 7th, 2018 for the following appeals. The appeal of Carol James Doucette versus the Lafayette Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22055-008. The appeal of Carol James Doucette versus the Lafayette Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22055-009. And the appeal of Linda Doucette Vial versus the Lafayette Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22055-010. The Tax Commission accepts these pre-filed documents and oral testimony into the record as Taxpayer Exhibit 1 in Globo, Assessor Exhibit 1 in Globo, and Louisiana Tax Commission Staff Appraiser Exhibit 1 in Globo for the appeal hearing conducted on March 7th, 2018 for the appeals previously cited.
I'll make a motion to accept those exhibits.
Yeah, we don't
we
all right. No, we don't need a
Okay.
motion. All right. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of Assessor Bergeron Turner's motion to compel discovery against taxpayer appellant Chalmette Mall, LTC docket number 17-22087-001 in St. Bernard Parish. I'll make a motion that we defer this matter to our next meeting.
Second.
Commissioner Vercher.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagaspat.
Yes.
Commissioner Wood.
Yes.
Commissioner West.
Yes.
And Chairman Shahardy.
Yes, this matter is going to be deferred, will be deferred until our next meeting, which is on March 21st, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. All right, at this point, I will ask everybody who is intending to testify this morning at the table to please come forward and to be sworn in as a witness.
Good morning, gentlemen. If you haven't done this before, you swear all the witnesses in at the same time. I'll administer the oath. If you'll approach one of the microphones, affirm the oath by stating "I do" and state your name for the record. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name's Steve Kornovich.
I do. George Wallace.
I do. Thomas Sandoz, Orleans Parish Assessor's Office.
Thank you. It is the Tax Commission's policy to accept all documents into the record that were timely pre-filed in accordance with the Commission's rules and regulations. This will be done at the conclusion of all hearings on today's docket. Accordingly, there is no need to formally offer or introduce the exhibits into the record during your appeal hearing. However, if you intend to object to the submission of any of the opposing parties' exhibits, you must notify the Commission at the start of your appeal hearing. As a reminder, this is an administrative hearing, and as such, the rules of evidence are relaxed. The Commission is inclined to review and consider all evidence submitted and to accept such evidence into the record. All right, the first appeal this morning is the appeal of the LaFont Trust versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22172-027. This is a taxpayer appeal. So we will ask the taxpayer to please, or taxpayer representative to please speak up.
Okay.
Do me a favor and pull the microphone
Okay.
in front of you. One of us up here is a little hard of hearing.
Okay.
And I don't want to mention his name.
All right.
But if you're talking to the microphone, I'll hear you better.
And I don't know what the protocol is, but I'm here representing both the LaFont Trust and Decatur Partnership.
Right, we're going to take them one at a time. We'll
time.
take the LaFont Trust
Okay.
first.
All right, so first, as I said, I've stated previously, my name's Steve Kornovich, and I'm a property owner in the New Orleans French Quarter, and I've operated a business there continuously since 1985.
Pull your mic a little bit closer. I'll talk
Right.
closer into it.
Okay. To this matter, I filed an appeal with the New Orleans Assessor's Office because the properties were assessed at a higher rate than most comparable properties near me. And after hearing my complaint, I was told my assessments were fair. However, where the assessments may be accurate, they can hardly be considered fair when larger and more commercially viable properties are paying much less than I pay. The inequity of undervaluing other properties results in smaller tax bills for them and offers them a competitive edge. From the assessor's website, I compiled a list of 18 properties which I use as a source of comparison, and it demonstrates a seemingly arbitrary and capricious nature in the assignment of values. Now, all these properties were privately held. I am flanked across the street by the French Market Corporation and further upriver by the Lower Pontavel Apartments. And these public properties, historically, I don't have access to their rents, but over the years I have seen leases that they've held, and they've seemed to undervalue their properties. But that's an aside. All the properties on this list feature ground floor retail and mixed-use upper floors, typically residential accommodations. The value of the land in the assessments is consistent across the board, but based on the total assessments for improvements, this translates to values ranging from a low of $4.88 a square foot to a high of $37.12. Now, I guess there could be reasons for such disparity, such as personnel shortages, poor skill sets, or maybe even favoritism. But it's my hope that your office can find a way to value my properties to help bring my assessments and the resultant property taxes I pay more in line with what the majority of property owners in my area are paying for comparable property. And to this end, Louisiana Tax Commission had personnel come and appraise my property, and they achieved these results. There has been inequity in the New Orleans appraisal system for many years, and where the assessor's office claimed that they are getting better may be true, it does nothing to help me compete with property owners who are enjoying much more favorable assessments. So I only ask that you rectify this imbalance and bring all property owners closer to assessments that are truly fair.
Now, you're asking us for, what value, you're asking us for a value of $442,400?
I'm asking which one of these is the trust? This is
LaFont Trust.
Levant Trust.
Levant Trust.
Yeah, this is the
I'm assuming that's.
506,000, I think is what. the
Well, that's
value-
the, our staff appraisal
Right.
is, I think, determined a value of $506,000, which, the final determination of $506,000. Also, the appraisal also had an income value, approach to value, and at $467,000. Have you looked at the staff appraisal?
Yeah. Yes.
How do you feel about the staff valuation?
No, I think it's a much fairer valuation than what the city is asking.
Okay.
What is the city asking? Because I got two conflicting amounts. What are you guys asking?
What did the parish board of review?
Thomas Sandoz,
Yes.
Orleans Parish Assessor's Office, good morning. We revalued the entire French Quarter for 2018. I personally was part of the team
You know, it is, it doesn't have the little muffler thing on it.
That did it. We spent about 3 months in doing field work in the French Quarter, trying to ascertain, building size and condition and so on and so forth. So our initial revaluation was $189,000 and $351,400 for the building, for a total appraised value of $540,400. The Board of Review made an adjustment. They upheld our land value and set the building value at $505,400.
Okay.
I don't know if this is.
And the assessor's office didn't appeal
It's on the
that.
briefing.
We did not. No, sir.
It's not on here.
So right now, you're at
Different on here.
504,400.
The taxpayer, this is a taxpayer appeal. I don't know if this is pertinent, but I think I need to get it into record. The taxpayer referenced, he did some research and maybe provided some documentation to the tax commission. The assessor's office did not receive that information as required by the rules and regs of the tax commission, so I would object to that evidence being entered into the record. Having said that, again, I don't know if this is pertinent or not, but we did offer the taxpayer a settlement offer prior to the Board of Review at $505,260. That's the total appraised value. That offer was rejected, went to the Board of Review. The Board of Review adjusted it to, again, like I said,
505,400.
505,400. We did not appeal, and that's kind of where it stands right now.
Okay, so the original value the assessor's office had was $540,400.
That's correct.
Board of Review reduced it to $505,400,
Yes, sir.
and taxpayer request is $345,333. Let me see. Mr. Kornovich, can you accept the Board of Review's value of $505,400? Is that? You don't have to say yes. I'm just asking. I'm just asking the question.
I'm just thinking, it's hard for me to not know that value and see what my the resultant property tax would be,
Well, that'd be the,
So
the
I'd
assessor's
have to-
office could probably give you
Right.
give you an estimate of what it might be.
Yes, sir, Chairman Shahardi, that's correct. If any taxpayer we have a tax estimator function on our website. So if
Yeah.
they plug in the total assessed value, not the appraised value, but the assessed value, it'll spit out an estimated tax based on the prior year's millage. As you all well know, the assessor's office does not set the millage. That's a function of the city council. So based on last year's millage, you would get an estimate, which would probably be pretty close, assuming the millage stays relatively the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is 2018.
Yes, sir.
So whatever the millage, we know what the millage is,
For 17.
or we can determine what the millage is for
Right.
2018.
That's correct.
I've kind of interrupted everything. Sure.
I guess I don't understand the form that I received from the city, because
Well, on your appeal application, you have one set of values, but on our briefing sheet, it's much lower numbers, and much different than what was on the appeal form that you filed. Am I saying that right, folks?
Yes.
Yeah, you got it.
On your appeal form, you state that the value by the assessor was $716,000, $716,100.
Right.
Briefing sheet, it was $540,400. Oh, I know what happened. I know what it is. This property, it has commercial as well as residential?
Right.
Okay, I see what happened. What you did was you assumed everything was at 10%,
Yeah.
and the reality is that commercial property is at 15%. So that portion of the structure that's commercial is valued at 15%. The residential portion is valued at 10%. So what you did on here was take the assessor's value of 71,610 and just multiply it by 10, divided by 10%. So the actual value that the assessor's office had was 540,400. The value that the Board of Review came up with was 505,400. And our staff appraisal for the commission is at $506,000.
Okay, because I guess I'm looking at the assessor's office, and I heard what you say about, it shows the taxable assessment at 71,610.
Right, and that would mean that the land's at 10% of value, and the improvements, the commercial part is at 15%, the residential part is at 10%. Now, I don't know how much is residential and how much is improvements. I think maybe our staff appraisal may have that, I don't know. But the total value that the assessor's office has, in other words, the fair market value established by the assessor's office is 540,400.
Okay.
That was reduced by the Board of Review to 505,400. It was reduced by about $35,000 by the Board of Review, and that was taken off of the improvements, the building.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, then it would be the retail space that is at 15%?
Would be at 15%.
Okay.
And then the residential space would be at 10%. When you add those two numbers together, that would be the assessed value for the improvements. Then you add the land in and come up with a total, and that's the total assessed value.
Okay. I guess then I'd have to go back. I don't have that calculation.
Okay.
I'm not,
Sure.
I don't know what that means to me.
Okay. All right. Well, basically what it means over from where you were before, what, 35,000 times 15%,
35.
there's a reduction of $35,000
Okay.
from where the assessor was to the Board of Review. So that reduction would represent 15% of, well, not necessarily, depends on how you allocate it between commercial and residential. So, all right. Well, all right, Mr. Corbett, you have anything else you want to add, or?
I guess this is my only opportunity. I can't reschedule
No, this is it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This is your bite at the apple.
Yeah, I understand it.
All right.
But you said earlier that the staff appraisal was more in line with what your thoughts were.
Well, I don't, what I was looking at these numbers, and I guess I don't understand them, because it went from 71,600 down to 66,360,
Assessed value.
the assessed value. And I'm looking at this and not understanding the total assessment. I don't know how to work those numbers.
Well, I think the six, okay, that's what you're saying.
I think what's causing the confusion is the fact that the commercial aspect is at 15% of value. If this were an apartment complex, the value would be $716,000, but it's not.
Okay.
This has got some commercial involved, so the commercial part of the
So
improvements.
how do they pull out the commercial part to establish the assessed value?
Well, you'd have to ask the assessor's office
Is
to explain what they
the
did.
assessor able to answer that here?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
he should be able to.
Mr. Kornovich?
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't, what's your name?
Mr. Sanders, Thomas Sanders. Currently, Commissioners, we do not have this split in terms of residential and commercial use.
Okay.
There's retail on the bottom, and the top two floors are currently not being used.
Is it commercial or residential upstairs?
It's just storage.
Just
So-
storage.
So we would classify that as commercial and
Okay.
not
All
residential.
right.
So the
Okay.
building, the building value is being assessed at 15%.
Okay.
of the appraised value. There's no split in place at this point in time. And the Board of Review agreed with that, but did give the taxpayer some relief by adjusting the building value to arrive at a total value of $505,400. And clearly the LTC staff appraisal supports that number. So just to get it on the record, the assessor's office would ask the commission to uphold the Board of Review's decision of a total value of $505,400. And because the upper two floors are basically used as storage, and there's no real residential characteristic
Okay.
about it, we have the property currently assessed at the full commercial rate.
All right.
And based on the assessor's office, it shows a building area of 5,040 is...
That's correct.
Okay, but on the, it came in at 4224.
What we typically have on our records is gross building area, and as we all know, in a commercial and even a residential scenario, there's a difference between gross building area and then net rentable square footage. So I think that's what Mr. Wallace's appraisal is reflecting, is the net rentable square footage of the building.
Mr. Sandos, you have anything else to add?
No, sir, unless you all have any questions, or if the taxpayer has any questions. I noticed the taxpayer is holding up what appears to be his Board of Review decision. And that can be confusing sometimes because, and I don't know why it is this way, but when the Board of Review makes their decision, it's in assessed value versus
Right.
market value, and that can kind of get
That is
confusing
confusing.
sometimes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. All right, Mr. Wallace, why don't you tell us about your appraisal?
Okay, good morning. My name's George Wallace. I'm with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I'll be brief because y'all kind of covered my numbers already, but I had most weight was from the sales comparison approach at $506,000, and I had $189,000 on the land, $317,000 on the improvement. I did an income approach as well and came in with $467,000. And again, though, the most weight was from sales comparison at $506,000.
I noticed in your appraisal, you did a market approach and an income approach
Yes, sir.
to value.
Right.
This being commercial property, you did not give but you went with the sales approach to value rather than an income approach.
Right.
And it just seems to me on commercial property that, particularly rental, that some consideration in the final value should be given to the income approach.
Well, I did.
And I'm not suggesting that it should be 50-50. I'm not suggesting
Right.
it should be 80-20. I'm just saying.
Right, I understand. And in my income approach, when I came up with the net rentable area, I did it at $14.96. That's just for the ground floor because the upper floors are unrentable right now. And I just felt like that there was more support from the market than from the income.
But the upper floors they're not in a condition to be rented at this time.
Right.
So they'd have to.
If I recall right, you go through the back of the store, and then there was a staircase that goes up,
Okay.
and then each one, there's no access from the outside.
Okay. All right.
Chairman Shahardi, if
Yes.
I could make a comment. The property is located on Decatur Street, and I don't know how familiar you all are with the French Quarter, but Decatur Street is a major thoroughfare in the French Quarter. Lots of pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic and so on and so forth. It is located directly across the street from the French Market and Café Du Monde and so on and so forth. So in terms of location within the French Quarter, it's a pretty highly desirable area to be in, whether you're, especially if you're in a commercial scenario.
All right. Give us a moment, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask the owner, what is your intent on the space upstairs? What's your future intent?
It's just going to be storage. It would be economically unfeasible to try and remodel that. You'd have to put an elevator in. If you saw the condition of it, it would almost have to.
Well,
be
I see the pictures, and the pictures look pretty tough.
Yeah, it's in fact, several years ago, the building had some structural damage, and it fell down. They had to come and reinforce it with some steel beams and the like.
Commissioner Vercher, if I may add something, you know, in the French Quarter, these buildings are 200, almost 300 years old in some cases. So that scenario where the upper floors are basically used as storage and the building has structural problems and so forth is very common in the French Quarter, just because of the age of the structures.
Any more questions? Sure.
I know I was confused by the difference between the retail and the residential.
Well, according to Mr. Sandos, there is no residential involved,
Right.
and according to you, there's none. So
Right.
it's a straight 15%.
Right, but that being said, and I can't equate, if, like on my graph, you look at 839, the percentage of retail that unit has, I don't understand why that tax rate would be so low. You know, because it has almost twice as much retail space as the 937.
Again, Chairman Shahadi, I was
You
not
don't have that
provided with
information.
that
I
information,
understand.
so I would object to that.
Right, I understand. All right, I'm prepared to make a motion if there are no more questions. My motion is to, in the matter of the LaFont Trust versus Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22172-027, to value the land at $189,000, to value the improvements at $306,000 for a total value of $495,000. The rationale behind my motion is to give some consideration to the income approach to value.
I'd second that.
Commissioner Berkshire?
Yes.
Commissioner Whiteside?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West? And Chairman Schwartz?
Yes. All right, the next item on the agenda is the appeal of Decatur Partnership LLC versus the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 17-22172-028. Again, this is the taxpayer appeal, so I will ask you to please, Mr. Kornovich, please go ahead.
The only, I would have the same issue with the square footage, you know, assigned to retail and residential. I mean, I have 600 square feet of retail space in this location. The city lists the square footage as 3280 for the building, and we had an appraisal where its usable square footage was 2822. And I know he hasn't, I mean, I certainly mailed out the material to him. Can't understand why it didn't arrive, but it seems like we're paying a disproportionate high tax at this location compared to others on the block.
All right. Mr. Sandos?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thomas Sandoz, Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. Subject property is located at 817 Decatur Street. Again, the property was revalued as part of the French Quarter revaluation that occurred in 2018. The Assessor's Office original value set the land at $92,400, building value at $472,300, for a total value of $564,700. We do have this property coded as mixed use. It's approximately 27% commercial and whatever the math is, 73% residential. So we do have that split in place on the assessed side, I believe so. The Board of Review upheld our value, did not make a change, and the LTC staff appraisal certainly supports our original value at Mr. Wallace's appraisal arrived at a value of $560,000. We are prepared to accept that the LTC appraised value, as we feel it's very
Which
close.
value that is that?
Mr. Wallace's appraised value
Okay.
of $560,000. Land value remains the same at $92,400, and the improvement value is $467,600.
All right. Mr. Wallace?
Yeah, I'm George Wallace, Louisiana Tax Commission. I physically inspected and appraised the property at 817 Decatur, and the land value that I came up with was $92,400. The sales comparison approach was $566,000, and my income approach was $552,000, with a final correlated value of $560,000. Again, you take out the land value of $92,400, that would be $467,000 for the improvements.
Okay.
Chairman Shahardi,
Yes.
just to confirm that the residential commercial split on the assessment on the building is in fact split correctly, because if you take our current building value of $472,300 and take 15% of that, that number is almost $71,000, and you can see the assessment on the building is $59,000. So the split is in place.
And you said that it was 23% commercial and 77% residential?
Approximately, yes, sir.
27% commercial?
Yeah, ground floor retail, and then ground floor apartment, and then 2 other apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
So the residential comprises about 73%?
That's correct, yes, sir. And like I said, if it was straight 15% commercial, the assessed value in the building would be $70,845. But with the split, the assessed value on the building is $59,040 based on the current improvement value.
What was the percentage of retail you had?
27%
And
retail.
Of the 3280, is that the square footage that you had?
Yes.
That's 885 square feet.
Again, we do this from the outside. We do it on a mass scale. I mean, our numbers are going to be a little off in terms of net rentable square footage and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we would need something
right
to show us, that there is a mistake. And I'm sure if there was a mistake, you would fix it.
That's
so-
correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In fact, we're in the process of updating our building square footages because, not to get into a long story, but we know that most of them are wrong based on the data that we got from Tower Technologies. So we recently sent out a letter to all the taxpayers in Orleans Parish saying this is what we have for your square footage. If it's wrong, contact us, we'll fix it, provide a sketch, so on and so
Right.
forth. So that will be corrected moving forward.
Sure. Okay.
For both these properties that are under appeal.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm in line, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Sure.
In reference to docket number 17-22172-028, I would move that we set the land value at $92,400, improvement value of $467,600, for a total value of $560,000.
I'll second.
Commissioner Barcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yep.
And Chairman Sharp?
Yes. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
This is real close to Central Grocery, right?
Yes.
I was thinking about those muffaladas.
Those are hard to beat.
The Tax Commission hereby accepts all pre-filed documents and oral testimony into the record as Taxpayer Exhibit 1 in Globo, Assessor Exhibit 1 in Globo, and Louisiana Tax Commission Staff Appraiser Exhibit 1 in Globo for each appeal hearing conducted today respectfully.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a consideration of change orders.
Chelsea Sochet with the Louisiana Tax Commission. We have a total of 887 change orders for today's meeting. Staff has reviewed and recommends that the Commission approve 886 and place one under pending status per Appraisal Department review.
Do we have a motion to accept?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the staff recommendations to approve 886 change orders and place one on pending status.
Second?
Commissioner Barcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Sharp?
Yes. Next, we'll consider tax sale cancellations.
We have a total of 26 tax sale cancellations for today's meeting, 16 for St. Tammany, 12 lack of notification, 4 erroneously sold, 1 for Caddo, house demolished, 9 for East Baton Rouge, 7 erroneously sold, 2 dual assessments. Staff has reviewed and recommends that the Commission approve all 26 cancellations.
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff's recommendations for the 26 tax sale cancellations.
Second.
Commissioner Barcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Sharp?
Yes. All right, there being no other matters to come before the commission at this time, I'll make a motion that the Louisiana Tax Commission hereby goes into executive session for the purpose of discussing the ETC Tiger Pipeline LLC versus Louisiana Tax Commission lawsuit in the 19th Judicial District Court, East Baton Rouge Parish, Louisiana, case number C-664-256 in Division D. As such, we will go into executive session. Do we need a motion to do that? I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose I just outlined.
Second.
Commissioner Barcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner West?
Yes.
And Chairman Sharp?
Yes. I will have to ask everybody, other than the attorneys, to please leave the room. Sorry, dear.